So, let's begin with the chapter permutations and combinations. And you see, in our everyday lives, we often need to enumerate events such as the arrangement of objects in a certain way, the partition of things under a certain condition, the distribution of items according to a certain specification, and so on. For instance, we may come across counting problems of the following types. Let's say, how many ways are there to, let's say, arrange 5 boys and 3 girls in a row, and you can add additional conditions such as so that no 2 girls are adjacent. And there can be other questions like how many ways are there to divide a group of 10 people into 3 groups. 10 people, this is question 1, this is question 2. Let's say you have 10 people and you would like to divide them into 3 groups consisting of 4, 3 and 2 people respectively, such that one person is rejected. Okay, so these are 2 very simple examples of counting problems related to what we call permutations and combinations. Before I introduce in the upcoming sections what permutations and combinations are, I would like to state in this lecture a principle that is fundamental in all kinds of counting problems. Okay. So, suppose there are 2 flights. One and two. Let's say I number them 1 and 2. And suppose there are 2 flights in the morning from place A to place B. Okay. And suppose there are 3 flights from place B to place C. So you have flight 1, you have flight 2, and then you have flight 3, flight 4, and flight 5. Okay. Now I ask the following question. In how many ways can one fly from place A to place C via place B? No other restrictions are to be assumed. Okay, so we reason as follows. There are 2 ways of flying from A to B. There are 2 ways, right? Flight 1 and flight 2. For each such choice of flight, there are 3 ways of flying from B to C. Okay, flight 1 can be followed up by any one of the 3 flights, 3, 4, or 5. And similarly, flight 2 can be followed up by any one of 3, 4, or 5. Thus, there are 2 into 3 equal to 6 ways of flying from A to C. Okay. Okay. The most important point to note here is the fact that what you did in the second step, that is when you went from B to C, that event is completely independent of what you did from A to B. Okay. In other words, the choice of the flight from B to C had nothing to do with the choice of the flight from A to B. Thus, the 2 choices for the, from going from A to B, when paired off with each of the 3 choices from going from B to C, this gives us 2 into 3 equal to 6 possible ways for the flight from A to C. Okay, this argument is the essence of what one calls the fundamental principle of counting. Okay, so this is, let me just write this down. This is known as the fundamental principle of counting. Okay, it can be abstracted as follows. So suppose suppose an event E can happen in any one of m mutually exclusive ways. So let me just explain what the word mutually exclusive here means. Now, mutually exclusive means that if one is chosen, if one way is chosen, the other ways are automatically not chosen. So this is what is meant by mutually exclusive. Okay, now in the above example, flight 1 and flight 2, if you look at this example, flight 1 and flight 2, they are mutually exclusive ways of flying from A to B. If one flies by flight 1, then he or she is not simultaneously flying by flight 2 and vice versa. Similarly, flights 3, 4 and 5, F3, F4 and F5, they are mutually exclusive ways in which you can go from B to C. If one is flying by, let's say, flight 4, he or she is not at the same time flying by flight 3 or flight 5. Okay. Now, to continue our abstraction, suppose event E can happen in m mutually exclusive ways. And suppose also, independently of event E, another event F can happen in n mutually exclusive ways. So independence here means independence here means that what happens, the choice of event F, the choice that you make in event F is independent of the choice that you make in event E. Okay, so note the distinction between mutually exclusive and independent. Mutually exclusive is, we talk about mutually exclusive ways in the context of, of a particular event. That one particular event can happen in, let's say, m possible ways, then all of them are mutually exclusive. If one happens, then the others are automatically rejected. Okay, and independence means, independence is in the context that if there are two simultaneous events that are occurring, then if one event happens, the choice that you make for one event out, for example, event E can occur in one of the m mutually exclusive ways. Okay, suppose you choose one way out of it, then that choice is independent of the choice that you make for event F, and that choice is out of these n mutually exclusive ways. Okay, so this is the distinction between mutually exclusive cases and independence. So you must be very careful about that. Okay, then the fundamental principle of counting says that the two events E and F can together happen in m into E, and F can happen in m into n ways. Okay, now I will illustrate this principle by a few examples. A proper understanding of all these illustrative examples, would go a long way in making the subject of counting fully comprehensible. Okay, so let's start with a few simple ones. Suppose you have 25 maths books, and let's say you have 24 physics books. Okay, on a library, they are kept on a library shelf. The question is, in how many ways can we choose one mathematics and one physics book? Choose one math and one physics book. So we want to find the number of ways in which we can do so. So let's say event E is choosing a maths book, and event F is choosing a physics book. All right. Okay, now event E can happen in any of the 25 mutually exclusive ways. What this means is that if you choose one book, then automatically you are not choosing the remaining 24 maths books. Okay, so this is what is meant by mutually exclusive. Now, event F can happen in any one of 24 mutually exclusive ways. Okay, so far so good. Now, what physics books we choose is independent of what maths book we choose, and vice versa. Okay, so events E and F in this way are independent. Thus, the fundamental counting principle applies, and the two books can together be chosen in 25 into 24 equal to 600 ways. Okay, let's continue with some more examples. So, suppose, in a family, you have a mother, two sons, let's call them S1 and S2, two daughters, call them D1 and D2. Okay, now the question is, in how many ways can these be arranged for a photograph satisfying the following three conditions? Okay, so the conditions are, there are only 3 chairs. Okay, so 2 persons have to stand behind. Okay, so they are these two sons, two daughters, and one mother. They are getting photographed, and there are only 3 chairs. Okay, and so 2 people have to stand behind. These are the 2 people who have to stand behind. Okay, the second condition is, the mother has to occupy the central chair. So we fix the mother here. So mother is fixed, that she will only sit at this place. Okay, the third condition is, either both the daughters are to sit in the chairs, or both of them are to stand behind. So what the third, the most important, the third condition is that D1 and D2, either they will sit or stand. Either both will sit or both will stand. Okay, no other conditions are imposed. So we reason as follows. There is no choice for the occupation of the central chair. Okay, so this is fixed. Mother has to sit here. The choice is only in the occupation of the end chairs, that is this one, and in the decision of who stands where. Okay, so these are the 2 standing positions. Okay, so let event E be seating in the chairs. Okay, now how many ways are there for this particular event? So there are 4 mutually exclusive ways. One is, daughter 1 can sit here, daughter 2 can sit here, or daughter 2 can sit here and daughter 1 can sit here, or son 1 can sit here, son 2 can sit here, or son 2 can sit here and son 1 could sit here. Okay, so these are 4 mutually exclusive ways. All right, now event F will be allocation of standing positions. For the remaining 2 persons. Okay. Okay. Now, whoever they are, whether they are the daughters or the sons. Now, this can be done in 2 mutually exclusive ways. That is, person 1 and person 2, or person 2 and person 1. Okay, so thus there are 4 choices for event E, 4 choices for event E, and 2 for F. The actual handling of event F in terms of its 2 choices is independent of event E. Okay, so see, event E and F, they are about making choices. Okay, see, this is true that whether in event F there will be two sons or two daughters, that will depend on whether there were two daughters or two sons in event E. That is okay. But the choice, event F is about making a choice. Okay, that choice is independent of what choice we made in event E. Okay, so in that sense, the two events are independent in that sense. Okay, so the two events together can happen in 4 into 2 equal to 8 ways. All right. Okay, now let's take another example. Suppose you have a dice. Okay, a cube, a 6-faced die. Okay, and the faces are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Alright, now when two dice are thrown, we add the digits they show on top and take that sum as the result of the throw. So what we are doing is, two dice are thrown. Okay, then add the digits they show on top and then take the sum as the result of the throw. Alright, the question is, in how many different ways can the following situation happen? Okay, so the question is, in how many different ways can the following happen? And the situation is, first throw of the two dice shows a total of 5 and second throw of the two dice shows a total of 4. Okay, so basically what we are saying is, you have one event E which is first throw resulting in 5. Alright, and this can happen in 4 ways, right? See, what are the possible mutually exclusive ways in which you can get a total of 5? That is, you can get 3 plus 2, 4 plus 1, 2 plus 3 or 1 plus 4. Okay, and let's say event F is the second throw resulting in 4. This can happen in 3 ways, and those 3 ways are 2 plus 2, 1 plus 3 and 3 plus 1. Okay, now the two events together can happen in, again by the counting principle, E and F can happen in 4 into 3 equal to 12 ways. Okay, now okay, now let's take one more example. The question is, how many integers are there less than 1000 and ending with 3, 6 or 9? Okay, all right. Now you see, to solve this question, we shall consider three blank spaces. Consider three blank spaces. Okay. All right. Now, these three numbers, these three blank spaces actually represent numbers less than 1000. Now you see, if a number is 2-digit number, then it will have 0 in the first place, right? And if it is a 1-digit number, then it will have 2 zeros in the first, in the 100th and the 10th place. Okay. Now if you think about it, the number now the number 0 is 0, 0 and 0. Okay. Now so the 1000 numbers less than 1000 including 0, that's why they are 1000 in number, they are obtained by filling up the three blank spaces in all possible ways. Okay, so there are 10 ways to fill the first place. Okay, 10 ways to fill the second place and 10 ways to fill the third place. Okay, by the digits 0, 1, 2, 3 till 9. Alright. Since we want only those numbers that are ending with 3, 6 or 9, we reason as follows. The first place has all the 10 choices, right? The first place has all the 10 choices. The second place also has 10 choices. Okay, whereas the third place has only 3 choices. Sorry about that. The third place has only the, excuse me. Yeah. So the third place has only 3 choices, which is 3, 6 and 9. Okay. So thus the 3 blank spaces can be filled with 10 into 10 into 3 equal to 300 ways. So 300 is the answer to the problem. Alright. Okay. Moving on. Now, let's take another example. The example is, suppose we have a DNA chain. Okay, a DNA chain is composed of basic building blocks in the form of 4 chemicals known by the symbols A, C, T and G. Okay, now consider 3 letter chains consisting of these symbols. Consider 3 letter chains consisting of these symbols with or without repetition. Okay, the question is, how many such chains are there? Now the argument is the same as in the previous example and is standard for all such situations. We imagine 3 blank spaces. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, it is left to us to fill the spaces with the symbols A, C, T and G. Now space 1 can be filled up by any one of the 4 letters, and so there are 4 ways. Okay, since repetitions are allowed, the second space can also be filled up in 4 ways. Okay, thus the first 2 places can be filled up in 4 into 4, 16 ways by the fundamental principle of counting. Now the third place can be filled up in 4 ways as well. Okay, thus so for each of the 16 ways of filling up the first 2 places, there are 4 ways of filling up the third place. So the fundamental principle applies. Thus the 3 spaces can be filled up in 16 into 4, that is 64 ways. Hence there are 64 3-letter DNA chains. Okay. Now incidentally, in the last 2 examples, we have intuitively extended the fundamental principle of counting to more than 2 events. Okay, so we can abstract this and record the principle as follows. So this principle is, if E1, E2, En are n independent events and ei I equal to 1 to n can happen in one of mi mutually exclusive ways then all the events e1 till en can together happen in m1 into m2 into till mn ways. Okay, note that independent events means that the happening of one does not affect the other. Okay, does not affect the others. Okay, in the above example of the 3-letter DNA chain, the filling up of the, let's say, the second place, for instance, has nothing to do with the filling up of either the first place or the third place. Okay, all right. So I would like to conclude with the first lecture with now, and we will continue in the